So we got Ty Bender joining me today on a Q&A. I was just going to do a solo Q&A today because I was like, it's kind of been a while since I've done a Q&A. Just me and Lance have just both had like very opposite schedules lately. And then the one weekend where our schedules aligned is because we were both at a show with a client in the same show. And I know next weekend I have 3 people in this show. So the Twin Cities Open locally here. So there ain't no way I'm going to probably be doing a live next weekend either. So real quick, man, how's it going? I know you're lean and mean right now.
Yeah, I am. I'm feeling it, to say the least. I woke up this morning to a nice 5 pound drop overnight, so I was
Holy shit.
nice and dry this morning. But
Oh
yeah,
man.
it's definitely the leanest I've ever been. That's for sure, by a mile. But
Hell yeah, dude. I mean,
yeah,
this is where it gets fun though. I mean, the days get hard, but man, like every set of photos when you're seeing like new details and you're
yeah,
waking up and you're like, holy shit, my side legs never looked like that. My like, serratus and stuff has never looked like that. My skin's never been this thin. That part's really cool. And then when you're in the gym and you can actually catch a pump, which
yeah.
sometimes gets a little bit tough at this
Mhm.
point, you're like, you just can't believe you even look like this. So that's really cool, dude. I'm excited for you. I'm excited to see you guys kind of do your little like mock peak, right? You're gonna kind of mock peak.
Yeah. Alex flies in on Thursday. We have some things planned, like hopefully doing some training with Seth, the podcast,
Sweet.
and then Friday and Saturday we're gonna try to get some like photo shoots, and that'll kind of be like our peak. So this is kind of like our last few days of depletion, and then
Okay.
Alex wants to tentatively start carving up on Wednesday, just depending on how things go. But it's just been kind of crazy because like I was talking to Alex about it. When I checked in, I think it was like last week, Alex was like, "Hey man, like I don't really think there's much more for us to take off." So,
Mhm.
when at that point, that was like, it was really fulfilling to me because I've never felt like I've gotten in true contest condition before. And it's just been like a massive like insecurity of mine as a bodybuilder. Like it's just been living in my head rent free for the past 2 years of, oh, Ty's that guy that can never get in shape. Like, yeah, he can put on size, but he just can't bring it together. And like I never felt like it was an effort thing or like me adhering to my diet or cardio. It's just I don't think I found a formula that with my previous coach that worked well with my body. And like now I have fully strided glutes, like my hamstrings are dug out. And it's we've only been this is our today will be the last day of the 12th week of dieting. So tomorrow will be the 13 weeks that we've been dieting. So I've never gotten in shape this quick. So that's been pretty cool. So
Yeah, dude. I mean, talk about striated glutes. Like, yeah, you are peeled right now. And I was talking to Alex after our podcast. It was either after our podcast or when we were DMing the other day because me and him were chatting back and forth about a couple of my clients that are competing this weekend. Um, and he had said that because I had said again that I was kind of in your ear about getting on
yeah.
stage, and he had said, you know, he kind of was initially too, but that he's pretty confident with the game plan you guys have to get peeled, kind of figure out your body, and then catch a nasty off season, and then do it for real, which is great, man. I mean, I know for you just love bodybuilding and you love
Yeah.
this, so it doesn't really matter to you when you actually end up on stage. It's more about the physique that you put on stage. And it's not like
Yeah.
this physique would be awesome to put on stage right now. I'm sure whatever local show you do, you probably win. And you probably, fare well at nationals as a, cause you'd be what, would you be light heavy or heavy right now? You'd be heavy, right? You're like two.
Yeah, I'm right at the top of the heavies right now. So,
Yeah. So you're a heavyweight right now. And,
mhm.
how tall are you?
5'9".
5'9". Yeah, so you're kind of like on the taller end of the spectrum,
Yeah.
even for heavyweight and stuff. So I can see that mind's eye vision for you as somebody who really just loves bodybuilding, loves what you do. That you're like, you know, when I actually do this, I want to be like a legit super heavy when I do it, and I get that. I
Yeah.
get that for sure. I do think at a certain point, like bodybuilding is about doing it,
Mhm.
but for you, I don't think it's as much of an issue as it is for some people, because I think some people him and haw about competing and they're like, I'm not ready, I'm not ready, I'm not ready. And ultimately they never compete. But for you, I believe it when you say, hey, I'm just not where I want to be. I'll be on stage soon enough, you know.
Yeah. No, and that's the thing, like, uh, I'm very thankful to have Seth in my corner just because he's very honest with me about things, and he's like, a guy your height, he's like, if the goal for you is to compete as a pro, you're gonna have to be at the very lightest 240 pounds on stage. So it's
Mhm.
like, what does it matter if you turn pro at 220 or you turn pro at 240 if you can't even like it doesn't matter. Like it's about building a pro physique for me. So I don't really care about the amateur side of things. And I don't mean to sound arrogant when I say that, but that's just kind of my thought process on it.
No, I totally agree, and, I've had the same conversations with other people, um, and here's the thing, a lot of guys go pro as a light heavy or kind of in the middle part of the heavyweight class, in terms of how close they are to that cap, and, maybe they're the best person at that given, pro qualifier. Maybe they just have some really good genetic body
Mhm.
parts where they're bubbly in the right way. The
Yeah.
problem is a lot of those people end up having to take the off season eventually anyway, because
Hmm.
they go pro at 210 pounds, and it's like, now they still have to take the 2 or 3 year off season if they want to even fucking sniff a first call out at a pro show.
Exactly.
Um, and so that off season comes at some point anyway. You're just choosing when you're going to do it. It could happen as an amateur or it could happen as a pro. I think there's something to be said for getting that work done as an amateur so that when you go pro, you can be like, "Hey, I'm very close if not doing a pro show the same year I turn pro."
Yes. And
And
that's
looking
the
like
goal
you
for
belong.
me.
Yeah,
So, and like I'm just excited for this one too because like in all my other previous contest preps, like it's taken me a full 24 to 26 weeks to even get in what I wouldn't even say it was like fully peeled, but just it's taken me that long to get in good enough shape to even consider going on stage. And so
sure.
now it's like we're at the point where we're right at that 12, 13 week mark where we are in true contest shape. And now I'm going to have another, excuse me, 12 to 13 weeks on cycle, but with a rebound this time. And that's what I'm most excited for.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, if do you mind sharing like what'd you kind of end up at? Because I know we talked about like your kind of previous like off-season dosages when we did our interview, but
Yeah.
like what
Hmm.
levers did you guys really pull on for this cut? Is it pretty much like a contest prep like cycle, or did you kind of keep things more modest, knowing that you weren't probably going to get on stage?
No, I don't think we were, I think we ran this exactly like we
Sure,
treated, like I told Alex, like, I want to treat this like a contest prep. Like I'm taking this just as serious as if like we were prepping for a pro qualifier. Like I want to do the damn thing. Like I like whatever we have to do to get in shape. I just want to do it. And it was like just such a mental aspect for me. Like I'm so much more confident in myself now because like it's never been a effort or like I said adherence thing. It's just I always thought I was one of those guys that just can never get in shape and like that was always just going to be my downfall. So now that I have that in my head, man, like I'm like full steam ahead. I'm ready for next year. But no, we ran tests, mass, EQ, the majority of it, and then we added in a low dose of tren about 5 or 6 weeks ago. So
gotcha.
I mean that just is what we've
Yeah,
been rolling with. I mean it's
I mean
basically it was
that's
very
all
like
you
it
need,
was
really.
yeah it was basically like the same like the test mass and EQ is what I ran when I got up to 270 the last time, and then we just added in a little bit of a tren. I'm at 210 a week right now, so I'm doing 30 a day, and that's the highest it's been
Yeah.
uh so far.
Is that
So I mean, and I
that's
don't
not
think
probably not the you probably ran trend in your last contest, but it's probably not the first time you've ran it, right?
No, dude, this is my trend is much lower than it was the last time
Yeah.
I think the highest my trend got, which it's kind of sad. Like I was 201 on stage last time, and I think my trend was at like 70 a day.
Wow.
And
Yeah.
yeah, yeah. And now with Alex, that we haven't gone over 30 a day, and like the look is just so much better this time. So
Yeah, and I mean, you know me, I'm down for the idea of like within reason, of course. It kind of takes what it takes. So I've definitely heard and been like, yeah, I mean, if that's what works for you, people running trend, higher, like,
yeah.
600 or whatever.
Hmm.
But I
I
also
mean, I'm not
find
against it, but
no, I'm not
it
against
hasn't
it at
been
all.
needed.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
It's the does it benefit what you're doing, right,
Yeah.
past a certain point? And I think you can get so much out of trend and just 19 Nors in general at a much lower dose than other compounds, especially with trend for like the stress impact and like the glucocorticoid binding and stuff.
Yes.
I don't know for sure. Like I don't know what the dosage range is, but I've heard that the dose that actual um competitive binding with cortisol happens at is like quite low compared to what
Yeah.
a lot of people run at. So it kind of just, I always take it on a person by person basis. If somebody can't tolerate trend at all, I'm just not gonna run it. If somebody can tolerate it, like it's fine. They don't, they can get through it. I'm probably not going to go much above 70 to like 140, somewhere in there. And then I
Mhm.
have some people who are like, you know, I can tolerate this pretty well. They might be in the 200 to 300 range, but man, it's rare that, I'm putting 400 or 500 milligrams of trend someone's playing. I have to be somebody who's like, can show me like pretty definitively with like blood work and, their, how I'm interacting with them, that they actually get on with trends super duper well, you know?
And personally, that's the thing. I mean, in my last contest prep, I said my trend was at 70 a day at the highest, and it was so that's 490 a week. And like I personally feel like I tolerate trend great. Like I sleep like a baby on it. I don't really have any digestive issues with it. Like I'm a more aggressive in the gym, but outside of the gym, like I'm still very like a calm, cool, collected person. So I mean, I love like I if I was coaching myself, that's probably where I would have had it. But like that's the thing. Most of the time, like I said, we're at 30 a day right now. And in my previous contest preps, the coach I was with, he would have me like just start at like 30 or 40 a day.
Hmm.
So I didn't even know you could get like I think with Alex we started at like 15 or 10 a day. And like I didn't even think when we first did this, I was like why? Like why are we wasting time? But if anything, I learned there like you can get a good benefit just from that little from Trent.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. And man, especially with people I'm prepping for the first time, I am not starting them very high. Dude, I'm not even afraid to start someone at like 5 milligrams
Yeah.
of tren a day, because
Hmm.
I've just seen it with people where it's like even at 70 milligrams, they can't tolerate it. And at that point, you have to pick if it's going to be better for the outcome or not. I've definitely heard some people say that they're like, Joe is a big proponent of this, that he's like, he doesn't tolerate trends super well, but
Yeah.
he's like, my look is better on it
Hmm.
regardless of with or
Yes.
without it. So I think there is a conversation surrounding that, especially if somebody's trying to compete at a really high level of
Yes.
like, hey, I don't get on super well with this drug, but it might take what it takes. But that being said, even in that case, I still would probably run it quite low if somebody didn't get on well with it, but we needed a little bit of what trend can bring to the table. But
Hmm.
anyway, we just got on a huge trend tangent there. So you guys
Yeah.
got some like fun trend content. We should probably get into some questions because I actually have quite a few. So we'll just I'll box this one off quick. I'll try and be fast. Wes asked me, when are you hopping back on stage, damn it. So I'll be completely honest, like with where my physique is at right now, I'm actually, like, all things considered, not being back on cycle that long, finishing up this diet phase. I'm happy with the way I look. Like if I were to continue this diet and get lean and get on stage, I would still be like almost 40 pounds heavier probably than the last time I stepped on stage. I'd be happy with that. But the reality is, I just there's a physique in my mind, and I had this conversation with Joe because I had kind of talked to him about like, hey, like, what if we just finish this out and get on stage? It's been, almost 3 years since I've been on stage, and I kind of want to get on stage. And he was like, and initially we were kind of thinking about doing it, and then he was like, hey, like, I just don't think this is something I really want to do. And I totally get that from his perspective. Like it's it's a lot for me to ask him to actually do that for me, to just prep me in a shotgun style like that. But what it gave me was time to think about, okay, if I was going to do that, do I really want to do that? And just right now, I think the physique I would put on stage would be so much better than the last time I stepped on stage, but it wouldn't be the physique that I can with another like even year off season before I compete again. So it's coming. I will be back on stage, just not anytime like in the near present future. And I also have people competing all the way through the fall and the end of the season. So it's just for me right now, that's my focus. But I'm very much bodybuilding again. I'm very much, pushing again, and I am going to be starting my actual push up here in the next week. I'm just getting a little bit more body fat off. I'm going to start my cycle uh tonight. I'm going to be doing a gram of test, 300 EQ, because my cruise that I was kind of on the first, I was in a cruise, but not like a TRT cruise kind of phase. Had all my blood work done, had my scans done, everything. I'm good. I'm clear, good to go. My echo was great. My blood work's great. Everything. Wanted to make sure I'm ready to go here. And so the 300 EQ was already in, so I'm going to be running a gram of test, 300 EQ, and 150 NPP. And that's what I'm starting at. I worked my growth hormone back up to 8 units, so I'm at 8 units of GH, and I'm just going to see what that does for me, because the highest I've ever gone with the GH is 6, and the most drugs I've really ever pushed in off-season phase was like 900 milligrams to like a gram, kind of in that range. So it's a bit more than I've done in the past in both those regards, but nothing crazy. And I'm just gonna see how my body responds. So that's kind of my plans. But let's get into a question that we can actually both hit on here. Thoughts on low dose of Clen in the off season while pushing so much food?
I personally wouldn't like use that as your driver when pushing food. I think like I personally like to use Clen in like a cleanup phase. Like when you're in like your cruise or health phase or whatever you want to call it, I like to rip body fat off in those periods of time in an off season. But I don't think you should be relying on clenbuterol when you're pushing food up in the off season. I mean, that kind of defeats the purpose. I mean, if you're having to run clen in the off season because you're getting out of shape, then I would probably just address your nutrition or maybe adjust your cardio from there before I would worry about adding in tren. Like I mean, clen. I would only add in clen if I was specifically trying to rip off body fat, like during a cleanup phase.
Yeah, I'm gonna completely echo that opinion. From a standpoint of managing like insulin sensitivity and things, within that kind of realm, there are some things we can use in the off season that I think do push us a little bit more towards lipolysis. Like I think that MOTS can add some application in the off season. I think that Retta can even have some application in the off season for some people. But from like the thing you have to remember about Clen is purely a stimulant based lipolytic, right? And one of the biggest issues I think about a lot with a lot of my guys that were pushing in the off season and like food's high, drugs are high for whatever high is for them, is all of those things are going to put more stress on the system. So putting something in purely from a standpoint of trying to keep your metabolic rate higher, that's also going to put more stress on the heart. Working harder is already, an issue in my opinion. I just think it's not the application of the drug. Exactly what Ty is saying. Clen is absolutely phenomenal. I'm gonna agree with Ty here. If I'm gonna use Clen in off season, it's gonna be in like a mini cut fat loss phase. Like we're gonna, use it, hit it, rip some fat off, and then get it out once we're going back the other direction. But yeah, I think that pretty much sums it up. I just wouldn't. I think that again, protecting your sleep quality, protecting your heart, protecting all these things. Use it when it makes the most sense. Fat loss phases, contest prep, and then rely on your nutrition, rely on your habits, and rely on the other PEDs that make more sense in that phase to get the progress you're looking for. Okay, let's do a non-drug question. Who taught you the most about bodybuilding?
I'd have to definitely my first coach Morgan Rice. There's so much I learned from him. It's like I think I'm very fortunate that he's who I went with as my first coach, just because there's so much that I did learn from him. Just from like a old school hardcore bodybuilding guy. Like I think he's like as hardcore as they come. So he's definitely who like I learned like the amount I learned about training from him and just like I think what he taught me most was just in person, like which was during our in person training sessions. Like he showed me what true failure was. He showed me like true intensity of training. Like he showed me like what it was like to push through training, like when you're deep in a prep and your food's super low and your cardio is super high, and like you still have to find a way to get the most out of your training, and you can't just like go through the motions. Like there's so much valuable things I learned um training wise from him. Like I mean, before I moved to Pittsburgh, I was driving 2.5 hours every weekend to come to come train with him at Powerhouse in Pittsburgh, and I still think he's like one of the best in-person trainers that I've ever like. I would like when Morgan was really into bodybuilding, like I would put him up against anybody when like he was fully focused on bodybuilding.
Yeah, that's a great answer. Taught me the most about bodybuilding. I mean, it's tough because I've had so many people um be really formative in where I've like came to as far as coaching, as far as my own bodybuilding. I think the person who taught me the most about being like an actual bodybuilder, I'm gonna have to say probably Joe, to be honest, because it's not about like drugs, it's not about like, I mean, he's really good about talking about training. It's not about training. It's more just the way he operates as a bodybuilder. And it's not that I was never consistent because like I'm very regimented and it wasn't like I was ever missing meals or anything like that. But it's just the way he maximizes his process kind of influences me and how I go about and thinking about decisions with myself and clients. It's just like every detail has a purpose within the plan. Like nothing's just a throwaway, like, hey, like I'm just gonna try this or whatever. You're putting something in to hopefully see an outcome. And if you don't see the outcome, then you know that that's not something you're gonna do the next time. And also, I would say what influences me the most about him too is like being open to trying things. I think a lot of times coaches can get locked into like one style of doing things, they use EQ with a bunch of people and EQ works great. So then they're just the coach that gives everybody the test EQ cycle, right? That's what they do. They
Mm.
never try to, run test NPP in an AI. They never try and do test mass, uh, you know, uh, NPP in an AI. They never try different things with their clients. And they kind of become just in this one box. And so being able to be open to different things was something that he heavily influenced me on because I think early on, like I had learned one style and I kind of painted with just that brush. And I felt like he opened my mind to being more versatile and like, hey, there's a lot of things that can have application. So you just have to be open to trying them. What is something you're grateful for, both in and outside bodybuilding? And then we should probably take a couple of these from the chat.
So what was that? What are something you're grateful for inside and outside
Yeah.
of bodybuilding?
Hmm.
Definitely outside of bodybuilding. I would just say like my support system. Like I have a very small circle, but like the people in my circle are always extremely supportive of me no matter what. So that's definitely something I'm very thankful for and like have come to realize like how valuable having like solid people in your corner can be. And then like inside of bodybuilding, I would just say like all the relationships that I've built just through like-minded people. I didn't think I'd find like when I first got into bodybuilding, I didn't do it to like find like-minded people, but I just think it's been really cool. Like all the people that I have connected with, um, just by doing this so far has been probably what I'm most thankful for.
Yeah. I would say outside about bodybuilding, obviously my family, but more specifically, having my son, almost a year ago now, he's 10 months old, was probably one of the things I'm most just grateful for in my life because every decision I've made after that point has just been for, a different purpose that's a little bit deeper. Even my decision to like take some, I say time off, but I was still bodybuilding. I was still eating my meals. I was still training, all this stuff. I was basically just taking time off from running gear, essentially. The last 9 months, and focusing more on coaching was because I knew there are aspects within myself, within my, process and some other variables that needed to be addressed. And what gave me the strength to address that and be like, I need to take a step back here so that I can take 10 steps forward was because of him. Um, I think it can be a really easy thing to do to make the right decisions for a client as a coach. But the biggest thing about it was just being able to have that time and space to focus on coaching and also have the time to evaluate like myself and the decisions I was making for myself, the people I was surrounding myself with, the way I was going about bodybuilding and be able to, come back better. And now I feel like I'm in the best position I've ever been in. I feel like the people around me are the people that I align with most, whether that's, Joe, Tom, Lance, Ty, you know, even on this call, just like Kyle, like the people who are around me are the people I want around me. And the way I'm doing things is the way I feel like I should be doing things. And if I think it wasn't for my son, I don't think I would have been as open to taking a step back and figuring that out. And I also love him. Obviously, he's the best thing in the world. Inside of bodybuilding, man, I'm just grateful that I've been given a ton of opportunities lately. And that's the way I look at it, is just like there are a lot of really good coaches out there. And, you know, I'm not nearly to the place that, you know, I hope to get to in the future, but I'm much further than I thought I would ever be at this point. And I think that just comes down to people seeing something in me and giving me an opportunity. And so I'm grateful for the people who in the bodybuilding space have seen something in me, given me those opportunities to kind of, you know, show what I can do. And yeah, those
I
people
was
know
gonna
who
say
they are.
it's definitely coming, man.
I appreciate
There's no
that,
doubt
man.
about that. So
I appreciate that. Okay. How fast do you guys push things up after a mini cut with a client? By the way, guys, Ty coaches as well, and he's doing some really good work right now. I've seen a lot of his clients he's posted on story. He's doing some really good work. I know it's something that he, you know, really wants to continue to progress in. So, you know, if you're in the market, you're looking for a coach, you know, Ty would be a great option right now. I would especially, you know, one of the things I love the most too about Ty is he's a very down to earth guy. And that's what you want in a coach. You want somebody who can make very down to earth decisions. So anyway, just gonna give Ty a little bit of hype there.
yeah, thank you, man.
So how fast do you push things up after a mini cut?
I think there's multiple things you need to consider. Like I've had a few guys come to me. Like I've been posting them on my story, and like we're kind of reversing out of deficits because they were guys that were coming to me and like they had been dieting for like 15 to 20 weeks on their own. They were doing an hour to an hour and a half of cardio a day. Like their food was like 13 to like 1700 calories a day. They were pushing, and I just think like it gets to the point where your metabolism stops responding after so long of pushing that hard, and they like there's no refeeds, there was no diet breaks or anything like that. So like in a case like that where a guy comes to me and he's doing an hour and a half of cardio a day and he's eating 1600 calories, the first thing I'm going to try to do is just give them a break physically. I'm going to try to pull back on cardio first, just because like that can be so mentally and physically taxing. Like for me personally in a contest prep, like I would be fine. I'd rather have a low day and no cardio than get a high day and still have to do cardio. Just because of the break it gives my legs. So for somebody like in a situation like that, I'm gonna try to pull back on cardio. I might increase calories maybe by like 100 to 250, something very small, because you have to consider like it's a total energy expenditure that you have to consider. So you might say like, well, we're going to pull back cardio from an hour and a half a day to an hour, but we're only going to add 150 calories. And you're like, oh, well, that's not that much, but like that's 30 less minutes of cardio a day. So that's 7 times 30. That's 210 minutes of cardio we removed from the week.
Mhm.
So that's something you definitely have to consider. Well, then I have other guys that like maybe they had a perfect off season where like they ate all their meals, we got their food super high, they were doing a little bit of cardio throughout the week, but they weren't doing a ton of cardio. And then we could go through a dieting phase and they're still not doing more than 45 minutes of cardio a day, that their food's not that low. I'm going to be more aggressive with the food just because they're not in such a bad spot. So I just think you kind of have to see like where the person's at. Like I hate to say this because it sounds very cliche, but I feel like for almost all these answers, it's very person dependent. But that's just kind of like my thought process of like, where's this guy coming from and like, where's he trying to go? Like, where's his food at? Where's his cardio at? Like, those are the main things that I take into consideration.
Yeah, no, 100%. All those things matter. Yeah, I think I guess what I'm gonna usually base it off of is just kind of the context of the person. Like how much muscle mass do they have? How lean did they get? How much, like you said, how much expenditure were they doing? And that's gonna give me the ground rules of kind of what can I do. Like, you know, say for somebody who's a bit bigger of a bodybuilder, they ripped off a good chunk of fat quick. They already have a ton of muscle mass. We know like drugs are gonna be coming back into the equation. I might be pretty aggressive with food with them, especially if we know drugs are coming back up initially out the gate. And I think a lot of times reversing out of a fat loss phase in the off season when the goal is to like put on size, I think there is an argument that a lot of people will go too slow with it. That being said, it is a big adherence piece, right? Because if somebody like I can do that with somebody who's a really good bodybuilder that I know isn't going to throw 2 or 3 free meals on top of
Mm-hmm.
what I'm giving them for food a week. Uh,
Yeah.
you know, it people would be surprised, and there's something I always say is like I hear it from people all the time. They're like, "Man, I have such a slow metabolism. I never get above like 4,000 calories in the off season, or even they'll say like 3,300 or something." And the thing my mind always goes to is yes, those people certainly exist, but I often find that a lot of people have never adhered to the plan good enough to actually find out how much clean food they could actually tolerate,
Yeah.
and how much their body could actually handle. And I've seen it with clients on my roster who like our first push phase together, maybe they only got up to 33, 3,500, and now they're pushing into the deep fours, into the low fives. And it's because I was like, hey, you need to be a better bodybuilder. We're going to work on being a better bodybuilder. And we did. And now all of a sudden they can tolerate so much more food. Did their metabolism get faster? Hard to say, man. I mean, maybe they have more muscle, that helps, but I think it's a huge adherence piece. I think people don't even realize sometimes how much that inadherence can add up. So to answer the question, it is going to depend on the person. But to give you a more general answer, I would say like if you did a mini cut and you actually got like a good chunk of fat off and you're pretty lean, I think that and you're an enhanced bodybuilder and like PEDs are going back in and you're going to push, I think pussyfooting around can be just as bad as pushing the food too quick. So I would find a middle ground where you're like, I'm going to put back in a good chunk, whether it's like I would say ballpark, like say somebody was dieting on 2,800 and you're going to go back into a push now, maybe 500 to 700 calories. And maybe they're doing an hour of cardio or 45 minutes of cardio, let's say, and we reduce that cardio down to like 35 minutes initially. And then you can kind of just start tapering back on things to like the off season level of cardio that you want and upping food as you go. But I would say I think that initial bump can be a little bit more aggressive if you're pretty lean. If you did a mini cut and you didn't actually get lean, I would well, I guess I would say that maybe you should cut longer. But like if you're really committed to going to surplus, you're gonna have to be a lot more gradual with things because your body's probably not gonna have the same level of the same level of acceptance of the food going up quickly. Who are your favorite bodybuilders and why?
Are we talking current or like all time
Let's
or?
go. Let's both pick 2 all time and 2 current.
I think Jay is definitely one for me. Just he's like one of my favorite physiques of all time. And then people are gonna say I'm biased, but obviously Seth. Like I've learned so much from Seth, like just as like a man and a bodybuilder, and like he kind of got me. His YouTube videos got me out of a very dark place. So like those are like the two guys that really got me into bodybuilding, was watching their stuff on YouTube. And then current, I would have to say Nick Walker. I just love his mentality, and how he attacks bodybuilding every day, and like he I think belief in yourself is extremely important, but like if you're not putting in the work every day, then the belief means nothing. So like you have to have the adherence and like the work ethic and like actually do the hard stuff for you to have that confidence in yourself. And I just like watching Nick, how like Nick's always betting on himself. And I think Nick truly believes it because he knows how hard he works and how consistent he is. So that's definitely one of my current favorite ones. And then the other one I would have to say, there's so many guys I like today. It's tough to just pick two. I really like Haughty too,
Mhm.
just like with his mentality and training and just the way he poses on stage and like his stage presence and like those are probably just my two right now.
Yeah. Yeah, Hottie's an interesting one because I feel like none of us really know what Hottie's personality actually is because we don't like there's a language barrier there,
Yeah.
but we can tell
Yeah.
that dude works his fucking ass off and like it's just like a bodybuilder to his core.
Yes.
Like nothing
Like he's
else
doing
matters.
6 plate Smith squats and it's like a week out and he's doing
Yeah.
6 plate Smith squats drop sets. And then like you see him, like I thought the coolest thing ever was this year at the Arnold. You don't really get to see this unless you're at the show and like up close, but we had seats that were right in front of the judges table. So like we were right there, and just watching Haughty like yell in between poses, or like when he goes to hit a shot and he's hitting the most muscular and he's yelling something in a different
Yeah.
language. Like you have no idea what he's saying, but you just know, like, he's there and he means business, so
Yeah. Yeah, it's cool. He's just got, like, this vibe to him, and he caught a lot of shit, for kind of, like, how he acted, the year Samson won, right? Was that year? Or
it's
was
either the year Samson or Derek, I can't remember which
I
one. I think
can't
it was
remember
Derek,
if it was
but
the year before when Derek won or not, but either way, he caught a lot of shit for that, and I think a lot of people just don't realize, like, for him, how all-encompassing bodybuilding is and how high the pressure is on him coming from a country like he
yes.
does, where he's under a magnifying glass all the time, so I think that people can't really level with that. I'm not saying it excuses it, I'm just saying I don't think people can really understand or level with that.
Like,
Um
bodybuilding is his life, like, people don't
it
understand
is,
that,
like,
but
we say bodybuilding is our life, and don't get us wrong, like, we love this shit, and this is
yeah,
a large part of our life, but I think when you have that level of pressure on you from your country, from, like, who you are, like, he's as famous in his country as some of, like, our professional athletes
yes,
are here.
mhm,
Bodybuilding
yeah,
is a lot more popular as far as, like, a spectator sport in his country, as far as I understand. So, but anyway, for me, I'm gonna say, like, all time, man, I'm I'm just a really big fan of Phil Heath's physique. I don't like there's some aspects about, like, his opinions and things he says and stuff like that that
yeah,
I don't necessarily always agree with, but man,
mhm,
I remember, like, his physique is the one that really got me into bodybuilding, which sounds funny because it couldn't be any more different than than my physique in every single way.
yeah, he
Um
probably had besides, like, Ronnie, he probably has, like, the most one-of-a-kind physique there is,
Yeah,
but
but I remember, like, when I was starting to get into bodybuilding, like, I was just looking up pictures and stuff, and there's a picture of him, in the gym, like, doing a leg extension, and I was just, like, looking at his quad and, like, the level of detail just, like, all the way up the hip, and I was just like, that really is just kind of like his physique is just, like, a work of art, and one thing that's cool, and, like, I know Fuad's mentioned it before, is I feel like he's one of the only people in the world who has ever, like, truly, truly outworked a structural flaw. Like, he has narrow clavicles, but you would never really realize it because of how round and big his shoulders are and how bubbly his chest is.
yeah.
And that's I think that aspect's really cool. So I would have to say from a physique standpoint, Phil Heath. Um, from a how they engage and how they carry themselves, I'm gonna have to agree with you and say Jay. I think Jay is one of the people who not only means so much to the sport as a person and as a champion, but he does so much for people
Yes.
within the sport. He's still
Mhm.
so engaged with everything.
Yeah.
And I feel like he's also somebody that if you met in person would actually like take the time to speak to you and actually, be interested in what you have to say. And I think that that's something that probably a lot of people don't actually embody within the sport. So just genuineness, I think, is what does it for me with Jay is he's just genuinely a good guy. Current bodybuilders, probably my favorite open bodybuilder right now is going to be Nick Walker too as well. Again, I agree with Ty on this. Just like his relentless work ethic and how he's willing to just go to the ends of the earth to do what he says he's going to do, which is win an Olympia, and who knows if he will or won't, but I think that level of work ethic is just something that a lot of people can learn a lot from. And then I really like Joe Palacios. I know he's really popular right now. And that's why I'm going to Tampa. And it's gonna be a really fun show. Is I just man, his physique is just wacky. Plus, he's a really good dude from what it seems from the outside looking in. But man, dude, I have just never seen side chest that just it, and Nick Walker has a really good side chest too, but just man, how round and like big everything is. And the thing is too is like he's round and big, but he's also dense too. And it just like his physique just doesn't make sense. I can't wait to see it in person. It's gonna be whack.
I'm very interested to see their two side chests next to each other because I think Nick's weakest body part is his chest.
Yeah, I would say that most people would agree with that. I think it's the one body part that on his body could really stand to make some improvements. especially in like front shots too as well. But I am interested to see that. I'm interested to see how it compares because like looking at Joe's pictures, man, his quads have come up,
Yeah.
you know. And the one issue I see with like Nick's physique is his legs have come up, but I wouldn't say that they've gotten like more like
Sweep.
sweep. They're just gotten bigger in general. It's almost like Joe put like size specifically on his sweep in some of the front doubles he's posted here, which is pretty crazy because you just don't see guys doing that often.
I personally think like with the way that Nick leg presses and hack squats, like I think it's very
Adductor,
adductor
yeah.
dominant.
Mhm.
So because his toes are so far pointed out,
Well, I think
and
the
like
width of his stance too.
yes, yeah, and so I definitely think that's why I like when you say his legs have gotten bigger, like they definitely have, but I think 75% of the sizes went to his adductors.
Yeah. I think I would have to concur with that, man. Like, I don't think his sweep looks that much bigger. Um, And yeah, I would agree. I don't know about the toes turned out aspect of it because I think if you do like a leg press and you do like a really cannonball close stance, if you
Yeah,
have
you
some
can
out toe, you're probably going to be all right. But when you combine that big out toe with such a wide stance,
wide stance.
like dude, that's a really adductor dominant leg press.
No, I mean that's a good point because I had legs today and I was doing like we have one of the horizontal like hip presses and
Yeah,
like I like my feet close together and they're kind of pointed out and like it's still very like a quad like all I feel it is in my sweep. So I guess
yeah.
I definitely think it's a width thing because everything he does is just so wide.
Yeah, because I know for myself, my like leg press and hack squat, I do a very narrow stance, but I
Hmm.
don't have the best hip mobility, so I have to turn my toes out pretty aggressively. But like my adductors are like the weakest part of my legs,
Hmm.
and I've squatted and leg pressed like that for a really long time.
Yeah.
So yeah, man, I really like Nick a lot. And then I didn't say my other one, right?
No. Well, I thought you said Nick and Joe.
Oh yeah, Joe. Okay. Yep, I
I
forgot.
almost
I
said him.
really am
He,
interested to see Joe on stage.
but yeah.
Um, okay. Oh, by the way, Kyle says, tell Ty to come to Tampa.
Well, you see, the thing is I really want to come to Tampa, but I have Alex coming up this weekend. The following weekend, I have to go to Houston for the J3U
Oh,
leg day event, and then that's just like another trip this month. If it probably wasn't this month, because I would love to go to that show.
well, me,
I think it'd
Lance, and
be.
Kyle are going, so if you
I
change your
know.
mind, let
I
us
was
know.
talking to Lance about it too. He's been trying to get me to go. I've been thinking
Well,
about it.
I'll tell you this. So I have this show this weekend, and then I'm going to Tampa at the end of the month, and then I get back for 3 days, and then I'm flying to Missouri for another client's show.
Oh,
So,
really?
so
Yeah.
you know what? You know,
We all have busy Julys.
you're starting to get a lot more attention and stuff. And not that I do, but you know, you might get used to traveling multiple times a month very, very soon. So
Yeah.
I could definitely see it for you, man, 100%. Um, AI versus SERMs and when to use.
AI versus science.
So, uh, I mean, it's in the acronym, it's in the name, but an
Yeah.
AI is an aromatase inhibitor, and a SERM
Yeah.
is a selective estrogen receptor modulator. Nerd stuff. So what? How do they differ? So an aromatase inhibitor actually inhibits the conversion of compounds to estrogen, primarily
Yeah.
testosterone. So it actually lowers serum estradiol, and SERMs and I'll just be honest, I'm not 100%, but they might have some impact on serum estradiol, but they actually modulate the receptor for like binding of estrogen, like the action of estrogen. So I know with SERM use, I don't know I don't know off the top of my head if they can lower it at all, but I know typically they don't like lower serum estradiol. They just prevent it from giving its action. When and how to use them. So typically for me, if I'm going to manage somebody's estrogen long term, whether it's off season, contest prep, whatever, I'm usually going to go more towards an AI. I just find they're a little bit more consistent for getting like what we need out of that estrogen control. But where I do see SERMs having a good application in the off season and contest prep is managing like gyno symptoms. Like I think Novadex works
Yeah.
really well to manage
Mhm.
gyno symptoms. And the nice part is too is it like doesn't crush your estrogen the same way like an AI would. It can allow you to, like, if you want to use it for a little bit to manage the gyno while you adjust like your ratios of your PEDs. I think that's when it can work really well. But if we're talking about like long-term stack design management of estrogen, I'm usually going to go towards something like Arimidex.
I was gonna say that's my favorite one to use. I know it kind of gets a bad rap, but I
Yeah.
think if you use it the right way, it does you more good than harm.
This is something, and I can prove this with my clients' blood work, with my own blood work, because I use Arimidex now. I didn't used to use AIs nearly
Mhm.
as much. I would just run my testosterone really low. My blood work's better using it.
Yeah.
And I think the biggest issue people run into with AI usage is just crushing their estrogen, right? The actual cardiotoxicity of the AI, from what I understand, comes mostly from low estrogen, right? So you have to manage it thoughtfully, watch your blood work, make sure you feel good, make sure you feel good where you're at from an estrogen perspective, and then watch your blood work and make sure like your lipids aren't, getting horrible. Like make sure that all the things you would check usually, make sure things are staying in range. And if they are, then I would argue that there's not, it's the same as like using like other PEDs where we're making sure that lab work stays within a reasonable range, right? So for me right now, when I was in my cruise phase, I was on 500 tests. I was taking half a milligram of Arimidex every other day. Now I'm going into this blast phase. I'm going up to a gram of test. I'm just going to go up to a milligram of Arimidex every other day. And that keeps my estrogen in a good spot. I'm a bit of a higher aromatizer, so I do have to use a little bit more, even with the EQ in the equation. Some people it's less, and I think that this whole idea that they have no place, um, yeah, I just don't see that working out very well for a lot of people long term. If I don't use
No.
them, usually like there's a lot of people who can't like get their testosterone like above like 200-300 milligrams. And I don't know. I think they get bad rap for the reason I said, because if you crush your estrogen, of course it's not going to be great for you.
Too much of anything is a bad thing.
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, if you're gonna manage long-term estrogen, I think me and Ty would both say like Arimidex is probably like the most consistent. SERMs, I know some people are really big believers in like the cosmetic impact of SERMs, like latent contest prep. I will be completely honest, I haven't played around with it a ton. For my clients, usually I still use like if I need to bring estrogen lower at the end of contest prep, usually I still use like Arimidex or something like that. But I might play around with it in the future. And if I, like what I see, I'll definitely let you guys know. Where's the best sushi at in Minneapolis? So I'll give you my answer and then Ty will tell you where it's at in Pittsburgh. Best sushi in Minneapolis has to be Ichiban in Edina for me. It's like one of the few all you can eats that actually has like high quality like fish, and like the rolls are actually good. Now, I don't eat a lot of the rolls because, like, honestly, when I'm going for sushi, usually it's because I'm getting a refeed or I'm getting one of my once in a blue moon cheat meals. And I'm a fucking meathead. So I'm still like thinking about the fact, like, I don't need all the sauce, all stuff. I usually just end up eating a lot of nigiri and some sashimi and stuff. And maybe I'll have like one specialty roll or something. So the quality of the fish matters a lot. So if I just go to any old all you can eat and it's like some, back alley place that doesn't have the best quality, I'm going to be pretty disappointed because I eat a lot of like just straight raw fish. So Ichiban and Edina. And then actually, if you're kind of local to the Minnesota area or even southern Minnesota, there's actually a all you can eat spot that opened up in Mankato, which is mine and my wife's hometown area. And it's actually really good. It's called like Ippin, I think, Ippin sushi or something like that. And it's actually really good. And for like a town of 50,000 people in southern Minnesota, like that's pretty rare that there's actually a good all you can eat sushi place. So what about you, man?
I'm really gonna disappoint everybody here, but I'm not a sushi guy. I've never been to one sushi restaurant
Okay.
in Pittsburgh, and I could not even name one.
Okay. Well, then we'll move on. We'll move on.
Yeah, that was very disappointing, but
No, I mean, I think a lot of people just assume that like every bodybuilder's a sushi person, but it definitely like
yeah, I tell
varies.
people that, and they're like, "What is wrong with you?" And I was like, I don't know, man. I'm just not my thing." But
So personal progress updates. I think we both kind of covered that within this episode. I think we both
yeah,
kind of talked about what we're doing. Also not a sushi guy. Yeah, yeah, yeah. I mean, it happens, bro. Like some people, everybody's got their taste, right? Did we get an Instagram chat? Not an Instagram chat. Billy Sushi and APA Sushi better than Ichiban mid. I've never been to Billy Sushi, but the biggest thing, Peter, that I'm considering within that is that it's all you can eat. So the thing is, man, like I'm gonna be honest with you, like I got a kid, I got a family and stuff like that. I'm a full-time coach. Like if I can go to a place and get a lot of sushi for like a reasonable price, I'm gonna prefer that over a few bites that are like crazy quality. So I'm looking at like quality plus like amount. So I don't know, is if Billy Sushi is all you can eat, I'll have to give that a run, man. So thank you for the suggestion. Let me know if it's all you can eat, because if it is, I'll definitely give that a go. Okay. Thoughts on 625 test, 300 EQ, 50 VAR, or D ball? What are your thoughts, Ty? You have
So
thoughts,
what was
DM.
that? 6.
625 test, 300 EQ, 50 VAR, or D ball?
So that's basically like a 2-to-1 test to EQ ratio.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's pretty typical. I would get your blood work done about uh 4 to 6 weeks into that, just to see where your estrogen's sitting and see if you need to adjust from there. That doesn't sound like too crazy of an amount of either one of them, so it's not like I would say like it's unsafe or anything like that. Personally, I'm not a D-ball fan. I would rather go with the VAR. I think you get like a much cleaner look, and I think performance in the gym may even be a little bit better. That's just my personal opinion. I'm not a D-ball guy. I know it works great for some people. I just don't like the water retention and the look that comes from it, and usually like the sides of the
Yeah.
higher blood pressure.
Yeah, and like the potential for like the more potent form of estrogen usually is
Yeah.
just going to take it off the table for me, because
Hmm.
it's like, managing estrogen is already something that you have to think about within cycle design.
Yeah.
What I would say is like, I would definitely make sure you pay attention to how you feel, get your blood work done, even like 4 6, but even 6 to 8 weeks. I think EQ is like a much slower burn than some people think.
Yeah, it'll take a
I'm
while to saturate. So
Yeah. And a 2-to-1 ratio can be really aggressive for some people. Like, I'll be honest, I've had clients that would struggle to get their test above like 4 or 500 on like Masteron. And like in the past, their Masteron was way higher than their testosterone. So pretty high aromatizers. And then we start running EQ, and all of a sudden they can run like a gram of test with 200 EQ. So it does happen. So that might be on the aggressive side. It would depend though. Like it would depend. Like if you tell me, man, if I even sniff 175 testosterone with nothing else in the equation, I have to take an AI. Okay, then I might be like, okay, that might be a place you could start. But if you're like, no, I've ran tests at 500 with nothing else and it was totally fine, then I would say don't. I would definitely go heavier on the testosterone and lower on the EQ in that case. But I think the only thing I wouldn't do about this is the D-ball. I would skip that. If you're gonna run an oral, I would run Anavar. If you want to run an oral that's more like aggressive, I guess is the right word,
kick in
I
the
would
ass.
Androl. I would say do Androl over D-ball. Androl does everything D-ball does, but better. And less messy. It's going to give you what you're seeking out of D-ball without the mess, essentially. It was the way I'd look at it. But yeah, there's nothing like egregious about this. Again, we're basing this off like very minimal context of like what
Yeah.
you've done in the past and what your side effect profile is. But yeah, nothing egregious about it, except I would just skip the D-ball. Dude, I don't I don't ever use D-ball with people. The only
Yeah.
case I can see for it is if you accidentally crush your estrogen with EQ in a short time frame. But
You need to bounce
man,
back
at
real
that
quick.
point, almost if it was that big of an issue, I'd almost rather have somebody get estrogen and anthate than
Yeah.
D-ball.
Take straight estrogen.
Yeah. Okay, to be hit on. I want to see if there's let's see anything in the chat. Andrew asked, what type of guy are you then, Ty? Burger guy, or like what's gonna be your go-to?
Honestly, like I'm not a big cheat meal guy. Like I said, during my last off season, I went the first 16 weeks without any cheat meals at all. Uh, but when I do incorporate them, like that's what Seth recommended for me. He was like, I would just get a burger and fry. So when my food got to the point where I couldn't really stomach any more clean food, that's what I did. But honestly, like I just like if I'm able to stomach it, I'd rather drive my food up higher on like a big training day, like leg and back day. But that's just personally me. I know that's very rare among people, but that's just kind of like my jam. Like I'd rather kind of like how Sass does it. I'd rather eat a giant bowl of cream of rice with 100 grams of honey and English muffins like that. That's a cheat meal to me. But
Yeah. Yeah, dude, I'm gonna be boring too. Like outside of sushi, I'm not really a cravings guy. There's not really things that like usually if I'm gonna get a free meal, it's very once in a while and it's to do something with my wife.
I was gonna
And
say, I think I just based off like I've been watching a lot of Joe's stuff too recently, and like I think if you're very serious about bodybuilding and like you truly want to like pursue bodybuilding at the highest level, then you don't need a scheduled free meal every week. Like it shouldn't be "Well, every Saturday night I'm gonna go get a large pizza and a pint of Ben and Jerry's, or every Friday night I'm gonna go get burgers and fries, then go get some dessert." Like I think you should save it for like when there's something special, like your family's in town or like you and your wife have like something special coming up. Like I think that way, so like when you something does come up, you can enjoy it and not have to worry about like fitting it into your week because it's not an every week thing. It's like when the occasion is right. But
Yeah, I agree. I agree, and that's the past years. The more I became a serious bodybuilder, that was like more the way I did things, and again, it wasn't hard for me because I'm not like a hugely food driven person. It's more about when I do something, doing something with my wife, and at that point, I don't really care what the food is outside of like we sushi is our go to a lot, but part of the reason for that is like man, I can eat like when my food's really high in the off season, I could skip a couple meals and go eat sushi and literally like it's not going to impact like
yeah,
anything I'm doing. And that's why it kind of gets picked, but like honestly, man, like I eat a free meal, so to speak, but usually it's for a purpose more in a diet phase than I do in an off-season phase,
hmm
honestly. Like in this diet phase, I've done multiple refeeds and I went down from like in the past 7 weeks, I was like 243 and I was 223.8 yesterday. In the past like 7 weeks, and I've eaten sushi like 3 times, but it was as part of a refeed.
yeah, you need it. It's
Yeah, it
necessary.
was as part of a refeed. So it's just like in the off season, man, like usually my food gets high to the point where like honestly I could give a shit about a burger first of all, and second of all,
Yeah.
man, like I'm just like I love bodybuilding and I know I don't have a lot longer doing this. Just knowing what I want to do within coaching, knowing that, I have like I guess a lower risk threshold having a son and things
hmm
like that. So man, I don't want to waste any fucking time in the off season. I don't want to waste shit. I don't know how many more off seasons I'm gonna get, bro. I'm not wasting time.
And
Um,
I think anybody should have that mindset because like tomorrow's not promised, and no matter what, like bodybuilding is not something you can do for a long period of time.
Yeah. Yeah, no, it's not. I mean, there's gonna be a finite like, a lot of people are like, "Well, you could do it for 15 years." 15 years ain't shit in the grand scheme of a lifetime. 15, 20 years, that'll go by like the blink of an eye, dude. I feel
Yeah.
like I was 21 yesterday. I'm gonna be 29 this year. So, it's time is not guaranteed, and I'm not gonna waste it. I don't think Ty is either. Are y'all Costco people or Restaurant Depot people? I'm a Costco person, but I don't know where the nearest Restaurant Depot is near me, but I hear it's a banger for deals.
I've heard good things about the Restaurant Depot. I actually don't go to either of them. The closest to me is a BJ's Wholesale, so that's just like there's literally one like 30 seconds up the road from where I live here in Pittsburgh, so that's just where I go personally. But
I don't know if we have any of those in Minnesota. Maybe I would have to look up. I have a Costco literally 2 minutes from my house, so
yeah,
I'm a
that's
Costco
nice.
guy. I can get same day delivery. So the only time I go there is to pick up my prescriptions, to like pick up my telmisartan and shit like that. I basically get everything delivered to my house, and it's like maybe like a 5% tip you got to give them. And like
Yeah.
honestly, with how busy things have been lately, it's worth it. Like from a time cost perspective for me, but Costco right now. But I've heard Restaurant Depot does have really, really good deals. T3, do you have any clients on it? So I'll just go off the rip. Like T3 is one of those things, and like thyroid meds in general, like, a lot of clients in prep are probably going to use, if they're enhanced, they're probably going to use thyroid meds at some point in their diet, in their prep. That being said, I think using them as like a PED that you can keep increasing to see a result, I think is a really bad idea. I think they should be used as replacement. So you're
Yes.
assessing on lab work, you're assessing on the profile of the athlete, and we're treating it like replacement. I have some of my clients on T4 replacement in the off season and stuff like that, but it's because their lab work shows an actual use case and need for it. So you
Mhm.
just using arbitrarily without drawing labs, without knowing anything because you want to get leaner, arbitrarily just starting 25 micrograms of T3. Um, I I I I I wouldn't do that, and then I certainly wouldn't be like, "Oh, I'm just gonna increase this because I wanna lose fat quicker," because it's just there's a whole it would take us a lot of time to really, like, get into that, but there's a whole host of reasons why you shouldn't do that, but one of them is, like, it's not gonna be the result you're looking for either. Like, usually people who abuse T3 and prep end up just looking like scarecrows or in a diet phase because T3 is not selective to body fat. It'll burn. It'll just burn through everything. So, um, yeah, what do you think, Ty?
No, I think like you said, it needs to be like warranted. Like you need blood work to like show that there's an actual cause for it. And like you said, it should be used as a like replacement to keep your thyroid in a healthy range. I think when you just start throwing thyroid in there just to like try to drive fat loss without having any proof that like on labs that it's your thyroid's declining as you get deeper into a diet, then it's your like you said, you're probably gonna end up looking like a scarecrow on stage.
Yeah, or worse things can happen too, like
Yeah.
irregular rhythms, all sorts of different things, whole host of things. So, yeah, T3 is not something that I would just like treat like clen that you can just kind of like put
No.
it in and work it up and stuff like that. Agree. I'd rather have a big steak or a bowl of cream of rice with honey. Yeah, dude. I mean, man, even like getting off stage at my last show, like all I wanted to do is just go back to the room and make a bowl of cream of rice that was just like excessively bigger than what I had eaten in the past. Like
Yes.
I'm just hungry
Mhm.
for bodybuilding food. Like honestly, dude, with all the shit we have nowadays, flavored cream of rice, like, all you could do with like steak and rice, chicken rice, like a bodybuilding diet can taste really freaking good. Yeah,
Yeah.
it really can. Okay. Oh, what else we got here? Thoughts on bodybuilders in the off season doing no free meals instead using rest days, which are lower calorie, to just do macros and almost all clean food. I think you can have an application. I'm not a big fan of doing macros. I don't like to think about things that much. Like I know what the calories and macros are in my plan. Obviously, I'm a coach. I have to kind of know how that works. But personally, I find like the most stressed about food I ever was when I tried to do macros instead of like meal plan. And I just like to know what I'm eating and, move about and through my day. But I think it can have application if it allows you to make like some nice meals with your significant other and still adhere to your plan and stuff like that, dude. Like if that's what works for you, I don't see an issue with it.
Yeah, I agree. I think it's a very slippery slope when you start doing macros because usually the quality of food goes out the window for most people.
Yeah, but if you're a
If
bodybuilder and he's saying like still do like all clean food, like yeah,
oh yeah, yeah, then absolutely. It's like you said, if they're using like high quality food sources, then absolutely. But like you said, I just kind of like not having to think about it. Like I don't want the fatigue, the decision fatigue of what am I gonna make this day at like this meal.
sure.
Like I just had like having everything set, ready to go.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, I feel like that's, why we're bodybuilders. I feel like that's why we're such good friends is we're both like,
Yeah.
we're both
This
of the same
yeah.
mindset of just like, man, like I know I'm going to go like after I'm done on this, I know I'm going to, go eat the same meal that I eat every time and I'm going to eat some beef and rice with my wife and some vegetables and it's the
Yes.
same thing we eat every night. I guess not right away. Actually, no, I have a chicken salad with a little bit of fruit after this, but later tonight, I know I'm going to eat, me and my wife are going to eat the same meal we eat together every night because my wife is a
Yeah.
bodybuilder too. So we're going to eat some beef and rice and vegetables. Um, okay. Did I miss anything? What class would you compete in, Colton? I think realistically, like probably classic physique is where I'll be for a while. Just because with my timeline, I said as far as what I want to achieve in coaching, I don't know how much longer I'll pursue competitive bodybuilding myself, and I don't know if I'd be able in that time frame to put the size on at 6'3". I'd need to be an open bodybuilder, and honestly, I just don't know from a health perspective if my body could handle it. to
It'd
be
be like
quite honest.
330 in the off season.
Yeah, to be quite honest, so most likely classic physique. I think I'm lucky in the fact that I think I have a good taper that with the muscle in the right places will be actually very pleasing in classic physique. Like I have a pretty small waist, so as long as I keep it small, I should be all right. I don't know, you can correct me if I'm wrong, Ty.
No, I agree. After the pictures I've seen of you recently, I definitely think you're right on the money with that.
Yeah. Um, okay.
I'm good for 10 more.
10 more minutes? All right.
Yeah.
I'll take it. All right. Anything you may have changed your mind or approach on the last few months based on clients, personal stuff, interactions, or learning from others?
I wouldn't say there's anything so much that I'm like changing my mind on, but I definitely think like what you were saying that like you learned from Joe, just being open to different things for different people, like
Mm.
not getting so set in your ways of like, oh, this is how it worked for these few guys, so I'm just gonna do this with everybody else. Like I think the biggest thing as a coach is just being like versatile and like having different ways to go about things so you're not like dogmatic in your ways.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, and it's funny like I think because I had like said that I have been like I've definitely said that I've been using like master on less in the off season with people. People thought like I don't use it, and that's just not the
Hmm.
case at all. I'm not of the camp that thinks it's not an anabolic. Like obviously it grows muscle to a
I think it's
degree.
an anabolic.
Was that?
I think it's an anabolic, and I've worked pretty well for me. But
Yeah, exactly. I am
yeah,
not of the camp that thinks that. And again, it's like I wouldn't say I have like one thought process or way of doing things. I'm open-minded and I'm
yeah,
willing to try things with people. And so, some people I have running, test mass and EQ. Some people are running test EQ NPP. Some people are running test mass NPP. Some people I know I said NPP in all those cycles. Some people aren't running NPP. A lot of people aren't running NPP. Like, it's just, I think people get into this mindset of there's only certain things you can use. Otherwise, if you get outside that realm, everything's going to be a mess and people's blood work's going to go to shit. And it's just not the case. Most of these things are relatively within the same realm, honestly, of impact on labs. And the biggest things that make the biggest impact on labs, honestly, you want to know what the main thing I see make the biggest impact on labs? Eating like a fucking dickhead. Eating like a dickhead and not doing your cardio and being a shit bodybuilder. That's the thing I see make the biggest impact on blood work. And then obviously like having the right health supplements in place and the right prophylactics, medications and all that. So it's just like I'm gonna just reiterate what Ty said here. It's just like the biggest thing I've changed my mind on is I'm just like there's no right or wrong way to skin a cat as long as you, and I was saying this to someone the other day, there's no right or wrong way to skin a cat as far as what we do within bodybuilding, as long as you're being smart about what you're doing with people, paying attention to their health and making sure that they're healthy year round, that they're not just healthy when they're off cycle for 2 weeks. At the end of them being off cycle for 2 weeks, finally their blood work's good. And then it's like, okay, time to go back
yeah.
on cycle, you know. Anyway, I think that answers the question, maybe more so than it needed to. What's the most T3 you like to use in prep phase? A replacement, whatever replacement is. There are people who do have to go above 25 micrograms of T3 to reach a replacement level dosage. They are rare. I will say, like, and the ones that I do see are like usually 37 and a half gets them into the normal range. Very rarely, like I think Tom is one of the only people I know who actually genuinely has to use, I think like 50 micrograms of T3
Hmm.
to get into the normal range. Um, so yeah, I mean, if you're in a coaching situation where somebody's arbitrarily increasing your T3 above 25 micrograms without lab work to reference that decision, man, I'd be cautious, man. I'd be cautious. I'm not gonna go too much more into that. I don't want to sound like I'm publicly bashing or anything like that. I just like I think that's just kind of scary hours to be doing that. What do you think?
No, I mean, I don't really have anything different to say than you said. I think it should all be like replacement and like just based off what the blood work warrants.
Yep.
Like when you start just throwing thyroid in there, I think that's when things just start withering away.
Yeah. Yep. Yep. Things just start withering away, or again, or I said worse. Like there are things that can happen from abusing
Yeah.
thyroid that can be very scary.
Not just from a cosmetic standpoint.
Yep. Intramuscular GH with big intra shake, Humalog, or just keep it all pre-bed to keep blood sugar in a better place throughout the day. Personally, man, I think that GH timing is something that does get a little bit overrated in terms of like application. I think as long as you're getting the dose of GH that you're supposed to be taking for your progress you're relatively going to be fine. But if you are going to take it at any time other than pre-bed, man, I'd be watching your blood sugar and stuff like that, like a hawk. I'd maybe even be wearing a continuous glucose monitor,
Yeah.
that sort of thing. Personally, I'm a big fan of just keeping it all pre-bed. I think from what we know about growth hormone, from what we know its impacts are on insulin resistance and all that, I think that that's just the best way to go about it, personally. Um, but as far as like a shake and Humalog, I actually really like that approach with fast acting insulin. Sometimes if somebody's pushing a lot of food, like I learned this approach from Joe, and I've used it with a couple of people now. I'll even do like a dose of Humalog with a pre-workout shake before the gym too. So maybe they have like a bigger pre-workout meal and they have some Humalog with that, and then they also have some Humalog with a pre-workout shake as well, and then they have intra-workout as well too. Like if that's somebody in a case where somebody's pushing a lot of food, of course. But the actual GH aspect of it, man, I I think GH is a much slower burn than people want it to be. It's something that you have to take a bodybuilding dosage for a long period of time to really see the benefits of doing so. And when you do, you will see the benefits of doing it. Like it's one of the biggest needle movers, I think, in terms of like putting on a lot of size. But man, I just anymore, I'm pretty much most people are just doing it pre-bed.
Yeah, I think when you start worrying about splitting it up and like taking it pre-workout, I think you're kind of getting lost in the woods there and just like really overthinking it. I personally have always taken mine right before bed. I think that's the simplest way to do it. I think like you said, like it's just about getting it in at that point. And then I think you're going to run into some blood sugar issues if you're splitting it up multiple times throughout
Yeah.
the day. I mean, if I had to do it any other time than bed, it'd be like in the like say if I'm in like a prep setting like I am right now, like if I wake up in like the middle of the night to piss, like maybe I'd pin some then. So it was like set in before I did my fasted cardio in the morning. But
Yeah.
even then I still think like that's a little much. But and like for me, like I like with the whole Humalog and stuff like everybody knows like I'm big on Humalog. I mean, everyone saw the candy corn every pre-workout this off season. I mean, there's a reason for that. I would have like a big pre-workout meal like 90 minutes to 2 hours before. And then like I got to the gym, I'd have 120 carbs from candy corn right before I start working out, hit my Humalog, and then I'd have another 120 carbs intra workout. And I would felt like I absorbed all of it. Like I just,
Yeah.
that's kind of like how I like to do it.
Yeah, and I think obviously it's dependent on the person. Like there has to be kind of be a lot of carbohydrates in the diet for something like that to make sense. But it makes sense for someone like you. It makes sense for, someone like Kyle who's pushing a ton of
Yeah.
food right now.
Hmm.
But yeah,
Yeah.
overall with GH timing, I think it is something that a lot of people just really get way too over analytical on, and they think that there's some compelling reasons, and if you're compelled enough for XYZ reason, I'm not going to tell you to not do things your way or whatever, but I just find the most consistent outcomes as far as keeping people's A1Cs in a good spot, keeping their like blood sugar in a good spot with just dosing it before bed. What's the most grams of carbs you go in an intra shake? I don't know if there's necessarily an upper limit. What's the most amount I've had in someone's intra shake? Like 200-ish, maybe? What about you?
The highest I've ever done is 120 myself. I haven't had any of my guys
Yeah.
yet that need any like much higher than like no one has ever that I've worked with yet has needed more than that. But
Yeah.
I think it gets to a point of like what can you stomach as well.
Yes, exactly. And I think that's the upper limit usually. And I'm just saying like what's the most extreme example, but I'd say like if you're asking when somebody's pushing food about how many carbs are in the intra shake, I'd say around the 100 area. 100,
Yeah.
120, maybe 150. The most I have done though is like 200, and that was a, exceptional circumstance. Okay, let's see. Anything else? Okay. I think Ty needs to probably bounce here anyway. But dude,
Yeah.
we went for an hour and 20 minutes and we covered a lot of topics. A lot of you guys hung out with us for a lot of this episode. I really appreciate it. Honestly, this is just spur of the moment decision for us to get on here today. So the fact that you guys engaged with it so well is awesome. And we might have to make this more of a regular thing with me and Ty, because I feel like we did a really good job. I think people are gonna enjoy watching this back.
Yeah, dude. I mean, I've said before, you're one of the very few people I click with, so I always love coming on here. So
Yeah, absolutely, man. And you likewise. But anyway, man, excited to see the pictures when they get posted. Send me some extra stuff on Instagram too once
oh,
you're
for
all
sure.
peaked up and you're
Yeah,
looking nasty. I'm excited to see it, man. And everybody who hung out, thank you guys so much. This has been Those Who Can't Do Coach. And it's been a Q&A with me and Mr. Ty Bender. So head over to Ty Dustin 22, right, on Instagram, to
yes, sir.
Ty a follow if you're not here because of him. Feel free to give my socials a follow too. Hit Ty up for coaching. Hit me up for coaching. I think DMs is probably fine for both of us.
Yep.
And we'll catch you guys later. Where's the stop button? Bye, guys.